Hello, I'm Abigail. Our journey begins in the ancient land of Thessaly, where the mountains kissed the sky and the seas whispered tales of gods and heroes. A prophecy lingered in the air. A prophecy that spoke of a hero who would rise to claim his rightful place as king. This is the story of Jason, the son of Azon, and his legendary quest for the Golden Fleece, a tale that has echoed through the annals of Greek mythology for millennia. Jason's story begins in the kingdom of Iolcus, a realm teetering on the edge of turmoil. The throne, rightfully belonging to Azon, had been usurped by his half-brother Pelias, a man driven by ambition and fear of the prophecy that foretold his downfall at the hands of a one-sandaled man. As fate would have it, this man was Jason. The kingdom of Iolcus, once a land of peace and prosperity, was thrown into chaos when Pelias seized the throne. Azon, the rightful king, was cast aside, and his loyal supporters were hunted down or driven into hiding. The people of Iolcus lived in fear under Pelias's tyrannical rule, their hopes resting on the whispered prophecy of a hero who would restore justice. Jason was born into this world of danger and deception. His father, Azon, knew that the only way to protect his son and ensure the fulfillment of the prophecy was to send him away. With a heavy heart, Azon entrusted Jason to the care of the wise centaur Chiron, who lived in the secluded mountains of Thessaly. Chiron, renowned for his wisdom and knowledge, took Jason under his wing and raised him as his own. Under Chiron's tutelage, Jason grew into a young man of exceptional strength, wisdom, and courage. The centaur's secluded mountain sanctuary became a haven where Jason could hone his skills and prepare for the destiny that awaited him. From Chiron, Jason learned the arts of war, mastering the use of weapons and the strategies of battle. He trained tirelessly, his body becoming a vessel of strength and agility. But Chiron's teachings extended beyond physical prowess. He taught Jason the ways of the gods, the importance of respecting the will of the immortals, and the intricate tapestry of fate that wove through the lives of men and gods alike. Chiron, wise and kind, saw in Jason the potential for greatness. He nurtured this potential with unwavering dedication, instilling in him the values of honor, bravery, and compassion. Jason learned to navigate the complexities of the world, understanding that true strength lay not just in the power of his arm, but in the wisdom of his mind and the purity of his heart. As Jason reached adulthood, he began to feel a restlessness stirring within him, an unquenchable desire to seek out his destiny. The lessons of Chiron had prepared him for this moment, but the call to adventure came from a place deeper than mere ambition. Jason's heart was burdened with the knowledge of his father's unjust dethronement and the suffering of his people under the tyrannical rule of Pelias. One fateful day, the prophecy began to unfold. Jason decided it was time to reclaim his birthright and restore his family's honor. His journey to Iolcus was filled with both hope and trepidation, for he knew the road ahead was fraught with peril. As he traversed the rugged landscapes of Thessaly, he encountered many challenges that tested his resolve and fortitude. On the outskirts of Iolcus, Jason arrived at the swollen banks of the river Anaurus. The spring rains had transformed the usually calm river into a torrent of rushing water. As he pondered how to cross, he noticed an old woman struggling at the water's edge. Her frail form and pleading eyes struck a chord in Jason's heart. Without a second thought, he waded into the river to assist her. What Jason did not know was that this old woman was none other than the goddess Hera in disguise. Hera, ever watchful and cunning, had taken this form to test the character of the young hero. She sought to find out if he possessed the qualities worthy of the great destiny that awaited him. Jason's selfless act of kindness would prove to be the defining moment that set the wheels of fate in motion. As Jason carried the old woman across the raging river, the force of the current pulled off one of his sandals. Undeterred, he continued, ensuring her safety above all else. Once they reached the other side, the old woman transformed, revealing her true divine form. Hera, with her majestic presence and aura of power, looked upon Jason with approval. "Jason," she spoke, her voice resonating like thunder, "your kindness and courage have not gone unnoticed. You have shown the heart of a true hero, and for this you shall have my favor. Go forth and reclaim your throne, for destiny awaits you." Jason, awestruck by the divine encounter, felt a surge of confidence and purpose. He bowed deeply to Hera, expressing his gratitude. As she vanished into the ether, Jason knew that his path was now blessed by the gods. He pressed on toward Iolcus, his heart filled with determination and hope. When Jason finally arrived in Iolcus, the city was abuzz with activity. The people went about their daily lives, unaware of the momentous events about to unfold. Jason, now a man of imposing stature and regal bearing, walked through the streets with a sense of destiny guiding his every step. News of his arrival quickly spread, and it wasn't long before Jason found himself standing before the throne of King Pelias. The usurper, though outwardly calm, could not hide the flicker of fear in his eyes as he beheld the one sandaled man. The prophecy he had dreaded for so long had come to pass. Concealing his apprehension, Pelias greeted Jason with feigned warmth. "Welcome, stranger," he said, his voice dripping with false sincerity. "What brings you to Iolcus, and what is it you seek?" Jason, unflinching, met Pelias's gaze. "I am Jason, son of Aeson, and I have come to reclaim my father's throne. The gods have willed it, and I shall not be deterred." Pelias, sensing the determination in Jason's words, knew he had to act quickly. He could not simply deny the rightful heir, nor could he openly defy the will of the gods. He made a plan. He spoke cunningly. "With false warmth, your claim is indeed right, but the throne of Iolcus is not easily won. To prove your worthiness, you must undertake a journey of great danger and return with the Golden Fleece from the distant land of Colchis. Only then can you be considered worthy of the kingship." Jason, undaunted by the challenge, accepted without hesitation. "I will return the Golden Fleece and prove my worth. The gods will guide me, and I will not fail." Pelias smiled, though inwardly he trembled. He believed that the task he set was impossible, a surefire way to get rid of this threat. Little did he know that this challenge would set the stage for one of the greatest adventures in Greek mythology. With the journey ahead of him, Jason knew he couldn't accomplish such a monumental task alone. He needed the best heroes of Greece to accompany him on this dangerous journey. Thus began the gathering of the Argonauts, a band of legendary warriors and adventurers whose names will be etched in the annals of history. Jason's first stop was the city of Thebes, where he was looking for the famous musician Orpheus. Known for its magical music that can charm even the rocks and trees, Orpheus's lyre can calm the fiercest beasts and calm the wildest storms. Jason found Orpheus in the midst of a performance, his melodies weaving a spell over the assembled crowd. "Orpheus," Jason called, approaching the musician in reverence. "I ask for your help in a journey commissioned by the gods. Will you join me in bringing back the Golden Fleece?" Orpheus, intrigued by the promise of adventure and the divine favor that accompanied Jason, agreed without hesitation. "Your cause is noble, Jason. I will accompany you, and my music will be our guide and our strength." Jason then traveled to the plains of Arcadia to enlist the help of the swift-footed hunter Atalanta. Atalanta, fierce and independent, was unmatched in speed and valor. She roamed the forests, her bow always ready, and her name was whispered in reverence among those who knew of her exploits. Jason found her in the grove, practicing her marksmanship with relentless precision. "Atalanta," he called, "I need your skill and bravery for a journey that will test us all. Will you join me in my search for the Golden Fleece?" Atalanta, hesitant at first, saw in Jason's eyes the fire of determination and the promise of glory. "I'll join you, Jason," she replied, her voice steady. "Together we will overcome any obstacle." In the woods of Nemea, Jason found the mighty Hercules, famous for his strength and heroic deeds. Hercules, ever eager for a challenge, was wrestling the lion when Jason arrived. The beast, although ferocious, was no match for Hercules' enormous strength. "Hercules," Jason called, "I need your strength for a journey that will take us to the ends of the earth. Will you join me in bringing back the Golden Fleece?" Hercules, his eyes sparkling with excitement, agreed with a hearty laugh. "A journey worthy of my strength. Think of me, Jason. Together, we will conquer any enemy." From the island of Salamis came Telamon, a warrior of great renown, and Medea, the brave Achilles. Each hero brought unique skills and unwavering loyalty to the cause, creating a formidable team united by a common goal. Among these heroes were Castor and Pollux, the twin brothers known for their bravery and skill in fighting. Jason found the twins training in their homeland, their movements synchronized in perfect harmony. "Castor, Pollux," Jason called, "I ask your help in a journey blessed by the gods. Will you join me in my search for the Golden Fleece?" The twins, always eager for adventure, immediately agreed. "We'll stand by you." "Jason," they said in unison, Together, we are unstoppable. As Jason gathered his band of heroes, he knew that their journey to Colchis to retrieve the Golden Fleece required a vessel of extraordinary quality, a ship that could withstand the perils of the sea and carry them safely to their distant destination. He sought the help of Argus, a master shipwright renowned for his craftsmanship. Argus, understanding the gravity of the quest and the need for a ship of unmatched capability, agreed to build the vessel. He was inspired not just by the challenge, but also by the call of destiny that seemed to surround Jason and his companions. As Argus began his work, the gods themselves took an interest in the construction of the Argo. Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare, appeared before Argus, her presence radiant and awe-inspiring. She offered her guidance and blessings, ensuring that the ship would be crafted with divine precision and imbued with magical properties. "Athena," Argus said, bowing deeply, "your presence honors me. I am humbled to receive your guidance in this sacred task." Athena smiled, her eyes gleaming with wisdom. "Argus, your skills are renowned, but this ship requires more than mere craftsmanship. It must carry the hopes and fates of heroes. I shall bestow upon it the protection and strength needed for such a journey." With Athena's guidance, Argus set to work. The keel of the ship was laid first, fashioned from the sacred timber of the Dodonian oak, a tree blessed by Zeus himself. This wood was known for its strength and resilience, and it was said to possess a mystical connection to the gods. The hull of the Argo was constructed with meticulous care, each plank fitted with precision. The wood seemed to sing under Argus's touch, as if imbued with a life of its own. Athena, watching over the process, occasionally touched the ship with her hand, infusing it with divine energy. The prow of the Argo was particularly special. Athena instructed Argus to carve it in the shape of a ram's head, a symbol of their quest for the Golden Fleece. This figurehead was not merely decorative. It held magical properties that would guide and protect the ship. As the ship took shape, Argus incorporated a unique feature under Athena's direction. In the center of the ship, he installed the beam of the Dodonian oak that retained the ability to speak. This prophetic timber would provide guidance and warnings to the crew, acting as a direct link to the will of the gods. When the construction was complete, Athena bestowed her final blessing upon the Argo. She invoked the powers of the Olympian gods, calling upon Poseidon to grant the ship mastery over the seas and Hermes to ensure swiftness and agility. The Argo, under this divine favor, was more than a ship. It was a vessel destined for greatness. Argus, standing before the completed ship, felt a profound sense of accomplishment. "It is done," he said, his voice filled with reverence. "The Argo is ready." Jason and the Argonauts gathered to behold their ship for the first time. The sight of the Argo filled them with awe and inspiration. Its sleek lines and powerful form promised strength and speed, while the aura of divine craftsmanship reassured them of its protection. The day of departure dawned bright and clear, with the sun casting its golden rays upon the bustling harbor of Iolcus. The air was thick with anticipation and the murmurs of the gathered crowd who had come to witness the beginning of an epic journey that would echo through the ages. Men, women, and children thronged the docks, their eyes wide with awe and hope as they beheld the magnificent ship Argo resting majestically in the water, ready to carry its brave crew to the ends of the earth. The priests of Iolcus, clad in their ceremonial robes, moved among the throngs, performing sacred rites and offering sacrifices to the gods. The aroma of burning incense filled the air, mingling with the salty scent of the sea. Altars were adorned with garlands of fresh flowers, and the sounds of chanting prayers rose to the heavens, beseeching the gods for their favor and protection. The people of Iolcus knew that this quest was not just for Jason, but for all of them, a chance to reclaim their honor and restore their rightful king. At the center of this scene stood Jason, a figure of both humility and grandeur. He was clad in a tunic of white linen, with a crimson cloak fastened at his shoulder by a golden brooch, a symbol of his noble lineage and divine favor. His hair, dark and curling, framed a face marked by determination and resolve. As he stood at the bow of the Argo, his heart swelled with a mixture of pride, anticipation, and a touch of anxiety. This was the moment he had been preparing for his entire life, and the weight of his destiny pressed heavily upon him. Beside him, the Argonauts, a band of legendary heroes, stood ready. Each one of them, from the mighty Hercules to the enchanting Orpheus, had their own reasons for joining this quest, but they were united in their purpose. They were a diverse group, each bringing their unique strengths and skills to the journey ahead. The camaraderie among them was palpable, a bond forged in the fires of their collective determination. As the final preparations were made, Jason took a moment to address the people of Iolcus. His voice, strong and clear, carried over the crowd, instilling confidence and hope. "People of Iolcus," he began, "we embark on this journey not for glory alone, but for the restoration of justice and honor. The gods have blessed our mission, and with their favor we shall return victorious. Keep us in your prayers, and let your hopes sail with us on the Argo." The crowd erupted in cheers and applause, their spirits lifted by Jason's words. The priests concluded their rites, and the final sacrifices were made. The gods, it seemed, were pleased as a gentle breeze began to stir, filling the sails of the Argo and signaling the beginning of their voyage. With a final glance back at the city of Iolcus, Jason felt a surge of resolve. He knew that his destiny lay ahead, beyond the horizon, in the unknown waters and distant lands. As the Argo slowly began to glide away from the dock, Jason raised his hand in farewell, a gesture echoed by the people who watched with bated breath. The ship moved steadily into the open sea, its sails billowing in the wind, guided by the unseen hands of the gods. The journey to Colchis would indeed be long and arduous. The path to the Golden Fleece was fraught with dangers, both mortal and divine. Yet, as the Argo sailed into the horizon, Jason and his companions were undeterred. They knew that the path to greatness was never easy, and they were prepared to face whatever trials awaited them. Their hearts burned with the fire of purpose, each stroke of the oars propelling them further into the realm of legend. As the Argos sailed through the azure waters, the gentle rocking of the ship and the rhythmic creaking of the timbers provided a soothing backdrop for Jason's reflections. He couldn't help but think back to the river, Anaurus, and the fateful encounter with Hera. The loss of his sandal, a seemingly insignificant event, had set in motion a series of events that would change the course of his life forever. As the Argo set sail, the wind filled its sails and carried it away from the shores of Iolcus. The journey had begun, and with it, the first of many challenges. The sea, vast and unpredictable, tested the resolve of the Argonauts. They faced fierce storms and turbulent waters, but the spirit of camaraderie and their shared purpose kept them united. As the Argo glided across the shimmering Aegean Sea, the sun rising majestically in the east, the Argonauts felt a sense of adventure and uncertainty. They were bound for Colchis, the distant land where the Golden Fleece awaited, but their journey would be fraught with unexpected encounters and challenges. The first of these encounters came as they sighted a mysterious island on the horizon, its cliffs and shores bathed in the golden light of dawn. Its lush green hills and pristine beaches, a welcome sight to the weary Argonauts. The island seemed peaceful and inviting, a stark contrast to the trials they had faced thus far. As they drew closer, Jason and his companions noticed figures moving along the shore, their silhouettes graceful yet strong. The Argonauts made landfall and were greeted by a group of women. Clad in armor and bearing weapons, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and caution. At their forefront stood their leader, Queen Hypsipyle, a striking woman with flowing dark hair and eyes that sparkled with intelligence and strength. "Welcome, travelers," she called out, her voice commanding yet warm. "You have arrived on the island of Lemnos, home to the warrior women. I am Hypsipyle, queen of this land. What brings you to our shores?" Jason stepped forward, bowing respectfully. "I am Jason, son of Aeson, and these are the Argonauts. We seek the Golden Fleece on a quest ordained by the gods. We come in peace and hope for your hospitality." Hypsipyle regarded Jason and his companions thoughtfully before nodding. "You are welcome here, Jason of Iolcus. We shall provide you with rest and provisions. But first, let us share with you the story of our people, so you may understand the land upon which you tread." As the Argonauts settled in the village, the women of Lemnos prepared a feast in their honor. The aroma of roasted meats and freshly baked bread filled the air, mingling with the scent of the sea. As they dined, Queen Hypsipyle began to recount the tale of Lemnos, her voice carrying the weight of history and emotion. "Once, Lemnos was a land shared by men and women," she began, her eyes reflecting the flickering light of the torches. "Our society thrived under the guidance of both genders, each contributing to the prosperity and harmony of our island. However, over time, The men grew arrogant and cruel. They neglected their duties and treated us, the women, with disdain and brutality. The Argonauts listened intently, their expression somber as they imagined the suffering endured by the women of Lemnos. Desperate and broken, we prayed to the gods for deliverance. Hypsipyle continued, Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, heard our pleas and decided to intervene. She cursed the men of Lemnos, afflicting them with a foul stench that made them unbearable to be around. The men, already arrogant and prideful, became even more insufferable, their cruelty intensifying as they sought to blame us for their misfortune. The queen's voice grew stronger, filled with the resolve of a leader who had faced unimaginable trials. We could endure their torment no longer. United by our suffering and our desire for freedom, we rose against our oppressors. In the dead of night, we armed ourselves and struck. The men, caught off guard and weakened by the curse, were no match for our fury and determination. Hypsipyle paused, her gaze sweeping over the Argonauts, who listened with rapt attention. We expelled the men from our island, and those who resisted were put to the sword. It was a bloody and painful process, but it was necessary for our survival. With the men gone, we reclaimed our land and our dignity. We rebuilt Lemnos as a society of warrior women, strong and self-sufficient, bound by our shared history and our determination to never again be oppressed. As Hypsipyle finished her tale, the Argonauts felt a deep respect for the women of Lemnos. Their strength, resilience, and unity were evident in every aspect of their society. Jason, moved by the queen's story, spoke with admiration. Your courage and determination are truly inspiring. Queen Hypsipyle, we are honored to be your guests and to learn of your incredible history. Hypsipyle smiled, a hint of sadness in her eyes. We do what we must to survive. Jason of Iolcus, our past is marked by pain and struggle, but it has made us who we are. We stand together as sisters, united in our resolve to protect our home and our way of life. The night continued with songs and stories, the Argonauts and the women of Lemnos sharing in the celebration of their newfound friendship. The bond forged between them would serve as a beacon of hope and strength for both groups as they continued on their respective journeys. Over the next few days, the Argonauts and the Lemnian women forged bonds of friendship and respect. They shared stories, skills, and knowledge, learning from one another in ways that enriched both groups. Orpheus's music enchanted the women, his melodies weaving a spell of harmony and joy. Hercules demonstrated his immense strength, much to the amazement and amusement of the children, who began to idolize the mighty hero. Jason and Hypsipyle spent much time together, discussing leadership, courage, and the challenges they faced. A mutual admiration blossomed between them, a deep respect that transcended mere friendship. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the village, Hypsipyle took Jason to a secluded grove. "There is something I wish to show you," she said, her tone serious. In the center of the grove stood a stone altar, ancient and weathered, adorned with offerings of flowers and fruit. "This is our sacred place," Hypsipyle explained. "Here, we honor the gods and seek their guidance. I brought you here because I believe the gods have brought us together for a reason." Jason, touched by her faith, placed his hand on the altar. "Whatever the reason, I am grateful for your friendship and hospitality. Our quest is fraught with danger, but knowing we have allies like you strengthens my resolve." Hypsipyle nodded, her eyes reflecting the flickering light of the torches. "May the gods watch over you, Jason, and may you find the Golden Fleece and reclaim your throne." The time came for the Argonauts to continue their journey. The farewells were heartfelt, with promises of enduring friendship and mutual support. The women of Lemnos provided the Argonauts with fresh provisions and supplies, ensuring they were well prepared for the challenges ahead. As the Argo set sail once more, Jason stood at the bow, watching the island of Lemnos recede into the distance. He felt a deep sense of gratitude and a renewed determination. The encounter with the warrior women had reminded him of the strength that could be found in unity and mutual respect. After several days of smooth sailing, the Argo approached the coast of the land of Doliones. The shoreline was marked by rugged cliffs and lush forests, a landscape both inviting and mysterious. As they neared the harbor, they saw a well-fortified city rising up from the shore, its walls gleaming in the sunlight. Orpheus, ever the voice of wisdom, spoke up. "This land is ruled by King Cyzicus, a man known for his hospitality and courage. We should approach with respect and hope for a warm welcome." Jason nodded in agreement. "Let us make landfall and seek the king's favor. We must replenish our supplies and gather information about the lands ahead." As the Argo glided into the harbor, they were met by a group of men bearing the emblem of Doliones. At their head was a tall, noble figure, his bearing regal and his eyes bright with curiosity. Jason stepped forward, extending his hand in greeting. "I am Jason, son of Aeson, and these are the Argonauts. We seek the Golden Fleece and hope to find friendship and aid in your land." The man smiled warmly and clasped Jason's hand. "Welcome, Jason. I am King Cyzicus, ruler of Doliones. You are our honored guests, and we shall provide all that you need." King Cyzicus led the Argonauts into the city, where they were greeted with open arms. The people of Doliones were generous and kind, offering food, drink, and shelter to the weary travelers. The city itself was a marvel of architecture and culture, with grand halls and bustling markets. A grand feast was held in the Argonauts' honor, with tables laden with delicacies and goblets filled with the finest wines. As they dined, King Cyzicus shared stories of his land and listened with rapt attention to the tales of the Argonauts' adventures. "Your quest is noble and daring," Cyzicus said, raising his goblet in a toast. "May the gods guide you to success and glory." Jason, grateful for the king's hospitality, responded in kind. "We are honored by your generosity, King Cyzicus. Your friendship is a beacon of hope on our journey." As the night wore on, the bonds of friendship between the Argonauts and the people of Doliones grew stronger. Orpheus played his lyre, enchanting the guests with his music, while Hercules entertained the children with tales of his labors. The city was alive with laughter and joy, a testament to the power of kindness and camaraderie. As dawn approached, the Argonauts prepared to depart, their hearts full of gratitude. They bid farewell to King Cyzicus and his people, promising to remember their kindness always. The Argo set sail once more. However, the gods, ever unpredictable, soon unleashed a fierce storm upon them. The skies darkened as violent winds whipped the sea into a frenzy, and towering waves crashed against the Argo, threatening to tear it apart. The Argonauts, despite their strength and experience, struggled to maintain control of their ship. Jason, at the helm, shouted orders over the howling wind, but the storm was relentless. The Argo was tossed about like a leaf in a tempest, and despite their best efforts, the ship was driven back toward the coast. The Argonauts fought valiantly against the storm, but the forces of nature were too powerful to overcome. With a sickening lurch, the ship was finally cast onto a dark and unfamiliar shore. The storm's fury gradually subsided, leaving the Argonauts disoriented and exhausted. The night was pitch black, with only the distant rumble of thunder to remind them of the tempest they had just survived. The shore upon which they had landed was eerily silent, and the thick fog that clung to the ground obscured their surroundings. Jason, still reeling from the storm, surveyed the land. "This place, it's strange," he muttered, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "I do not recognize it." Unbeknownst to Jason and his companions, the storm had driven them back to the land of Doliones, a place they had visited not long before. But in the darkness and confusion, they did not recognize the familiar landmarks. The storm had played a cruel trick on them, and they believed they had been cast ashore in hostile territory. Ever cautious, Jason ordered the Argonauts to prepare for an attack. "We cannot be certain where we are or who might inhabit this land," he warned. "We must be ready for anything." The Argonauts, hardened by their previous adventures, quickly moved to fortify their position. Hercules and Telamon scouted the immediate area, while Atalanta kept a watchful eye on the surrounding darkness, her bow at the ready. The rest of the crew prepared their weapons, steeling themselves for the possibility of an ambush. The night was filled with tension as the Argonauts stood ready, their senses heightened by the unfamiliar surroundings and the lingering fear from the storm. The once friendly shores of Doliones had transformed into a place of uncertainty and potential danger. Meanwhile, in the city of Doliones, the people were still reeling from the remnants of the storm. As the fog began to lift, the watchmen on the city walls spotted strange figures moving along the shore. The figures were shrouded in darkness, their intentions unclear. In the dead of night, with visibility low and nerves frayed from the storm, the watchmen feared the worst. They believed they were under attack by pirates or invaders. The news quickly reached King Cyzicus, who, ever the valiant leader, did not hesitate. Rallying his warriors, he prepared to defend his city and his people from what he believed to be an imminent threat. "We must act swiftly and decisively," he urged. "We cannot allow these invaders to gain a foothold on our land." Cyzicus led his men to the shore, their weapons at the ready, their hearts filled with the resolve to protect their home. The fog, still thick in places, concealed the identities of both sides, and the tension in the air was palpable. In the darkness, confusion reigned. The Argonauts, believing themselves to be in enemy territory, were prepared to fight for their lives. The Dolions, thinking they were repelling invaders, approached with the same determination. Neither side recognized the other, and neither realized the tragic mistake that was about to unfold. Without warning, the first clash of swords echoed through the night. Blades met with a resounding clang, and arrows whistled through the air. The battle was fierce and chaotic, with both sides fighting with all their might, driven by fear and misunderstanding. The fog and darkness made it nearly impossible to distinguish friend from foe, and the cries of the wounded filled the air. Jason, at the forefront of the Argonauts, fought valiantly, his mind focused on protecting his crew. Yet, in the chaos, something nagged at him, a sense of familiarity, a feeling that something was not right. But the heat of battle left no room for reflection. King Cyzicus, equally determined to protect his people, led his warriors with bravery. His heart was heavy with the burden of leadership, knowing that the lives of his people rested on his shoulders. He fought with all the strength he could muster, unaware that the invaders he sought to repel were none other than the friends he had welcomed with open arms not long ago. As the first light of dawn began to break over the horizon, the fog slowly lifted, revealing the true horror of what had transpired. The battlefield, once shrouded in darkness, was now illuminated by the soft, unforgiving light of morning. Jason, covered in sweat and blood, paused for a moment, his breath heavy. His eyes scanned the field, and as the fog cleared, the truth hit him like a thunderbolt. There, among the fallen, lay King Cyzicus, his body still and lifeless. The realization crashed over Jason like a wave. He had unknowingly fought and killed the very man who had shown them such kindness and hospitality. The one who had called him a friend and welcomed him into his home was now dead by his own hand. A wave of horror and grief washed over Jason, and he dropped his sword, his strength drained by the weight of his guilt. "What have we done?" he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. This was no enemy. This was our friend, our ally. We have killed the very man who welcomed us into his home. The other Argonauts, too, began to realize the terrible mistake they had made. The battlefield, once filled with the sounds of battle, was now eerily silent, the weight of the tragedy hanging heavy in the air. The people of Dolions, seeing their fallen king among the dead, were stricken with grief and despair. The realization that they had fought their friends and not invaders only deepened their sorrow. The once joyous and peaceful land of Dolionis was now a place of mourning, the bonds of friendship shattered by a cruel twist of fate. The Argonauts, overwhelmed by guilt and sorrow, laid down their weapons and mourned alongside the people of Doliones. Jason, his heart heavy with the burden of leadership, knelt beside the body of King Cyzicus, tears streaming down his face. "Forgive us, noble king," he whispered. "We did not know. We did not mean for this to happen." In the days that followed, the Argonauts and the people of Doliones worked together to honor the fallen. They built a grand funeral pyre for King Cyzicus, a final tribute to the brave and honorable man who had died in such a senseless tragedy. Orpheus played a mournful melody on his lyre, his music echoing the sorrow of all present. As the flames of the pyre rose into the sky, the Argonauts vowed to carry the memory of King Cyzicus with them on their journey. They had learned a harsh and painful lesson about the consequences of fear and misunderstanding, a lesson that would stay with them for the rest of their lives. The tragic battle on the shores of Doliones was a turning point in the Argonauts' journey. It was a painful reminder of the fragile nature of fate and the devastating consequences of miscommunication. The loss of King Cyzicus cast a shadow over the Argonauts' quest, a burden of guilt that would weigh heavily on their hearts as they continued their journey. Yet, from this tragedy came a renewed sense of purpose. The Argonauts knew that they could not change the past, but they could honor the memory of King Cyzicus by moving forward with even greater resolve. Their journey to retrieve the Golden Fleece was far from over, and many more challenges awaited them. But they were determined to face whatever fate had in store, united by the bonds of friendship and the lessons they had learned. The Argo cut through the waves, its crew ever alert and ready for the next challenge. The coastline of Thrace came into view, a land marked by rugged hills and dense forests. As they approached the shore, they could see the ruins of an ancient city, a testament to a once great civilization now faded into memory. Orpheus, always perceptive, noted the eerie silence that hung over the land. "This place bears the mark of suffering and neglect," he observed. "We must tread carefully." Jason nodded in agreement. "Our mission here is to find the seer Phineas. He is said to possess great knowledge that could guide us on our quest. But we must be prepared for whatever trials await." As the Argonauts disembarked and made their way through the overgrown paths, they were struck by the desolation of the place. The trees whispered with a mournful breeze, and the ruins seemed to echo the cries of the past. It wasn't long before they reached a clearing where they saw a figure hunched over, surrounded by debris and filth. The figure was Phineas, once a mighty king and seer, now reduced to a pitiable state. His once proud features were gaunt and weary, his eyes clouded with blindness. Around him, the ground was strewn with scraps of food, the remnants of meals that had been stolen and defiled. As the Argonauts approached, Phineas lifted his head, sensing their presence. "Who comes to this accursed place?" he called out, his voice tinged with despair. Jason stepped forward, his heart moved by the sight of the tormented seer. I am Jason, son of Aeson, and these are the Argonauts. We seek your wisdom, great seer, to guide us on our quest for the Golden Fleece. But first tell us, what has befallen you?" Phineus sighed, his expression one of profound sorrow. "I was once blessed by the gods with the gift of prophecy, but I angered them by revealing too much. As punishment, they sent the harpies to torment me. These foul creatures steal my food and defile what little remains, leaving me in a constant state of hunger and despair. I can offer you my knowledge, but first you must free me from this curse." As if on cue, a shrill cry pierced the air, and the Argonauts looked up to see the harpies descending upon them. These vile creatures, part bird and part woman, had claws like talons and faces twisted with malice. They swooped down with terrifying speed, their wings beating furiously as they lunged for the scraps of food around Phineus. The Argonauts sprang into action, drawing their weapons and preparing to defend the seer. However, it quickly became apparent that mere force would not be enough to drive the harpies away. Their speed and agility made them difficult to strike, and their shrieks were disorienting. It was then that Zets and Calais, the winged sons of Boreas, stepped forward. "We have faced creatures of the air before," Zete said, his eyes gleaming with determination. "Let us use our wings to match their speed and drive them away." With a nod from Jason, the winged brothers took to the air, their powerful wings propelling them upward. They pursued the harpies with relentless determination, using their own speed and agility to outmaneuver the creatures. The sky became a blur of feathers and claws as Zetes and Calais harried the harpies, driving them away from Phineus. The battle was fierce, but the winged brothers' skill and bravery eventually prevailed. The harpies, unable to withstand the relentless pursuit, fled screeching into the distance, leaving the Argonauts and Phineus in peace. With the harpies gone, the clearing fell silent once more. Phineus, though weakened, managed a grateful smile. "You have freed me from a torment that has plagued me for years," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "For this I am eternally grateful. Now, as promised, I shall share my knowledge to aid you on your quest." The Argonauts gathered around the seer, their faces filled with anticipation. Phineus began to speak, his words imbued with the wisdom of the ages. "The path to Colchis is perilous, fraught with dangers both seen and unseen. You must navigate the clashing rocks, the simple gates which guard the entrance to the Black Sea. These rocks crash together with great force, destroying anything in their path. But there is a way through. Send a dove ahead of you. If it passes safely, row with all your might, and you shall make it through before the rocks close again." Jason listened intently, committing every detail to memory. "Thank you, Phineus. Your guidance is invaluable. Is there anything else we should know?" Phineus nodded, his expression grave. "Beware of the enchantress Medea in Colchis. She is both powerful and cunning, and her loyalty is hard won. But if you can earn her favor, she will be a great ally. And remember, the gods are always watching. Honor them, and they will aid you in your darkest hour." With these final words, Phineus sank back, exhausted but at peace. The Argonauts, moved by his plight and grateful for his assistance, vowed to honor his guidance and remember his suffering. The Argonauts prepared to leave Thrace, their spirits buoyed by the knowledge they had gained and the victory over the Harpies. Before they departed, they ensured Phineus had enough provisions and protection to sustain him in their absence. They left with a renewed sense of purpose, ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. As they set sail once more, the sea seemed to sparkle with a newfound clarity. The encounter with Phineus and the Harpies had strengthened their resolve and reminded them of the power of compassion and bravery. With Phineus's guidance fresh in their minds, the Argonauts sailed onward, their spirits lifted by the promise of divine assistance and their recent victory over the Harpies. Their destination was the treacherous Symplegades, the clashing rocks which guarded the entrance to the Black Sea. This perilous passage would test their courage, their skill, and their faith in the gods. As the Argos sailed closer to the narrow strait where the Symplegades lay in wait, the sea began to change. The waters grew choppier, and the sky darkened with ominous clouds. The air was thick with tension, as if the very elements were conspiring to challenge the Argonauts' resolve. Jason stood at the helm, his eyes fixed on the horizon. Remember Phineus's words. He called out to his crew. "We must send a dove through the rocks. If it passes safely, we will follow with all our might. Prepare yourselves for the trial ahead." The Argonauts nodded, their faces set with determination. Each man took his position, ready to face the challenge that awaited them. Orpheus tuned his lyre, hoping to soothe both the sea and his companions' nerves with his music. Hercules tightened his grip on the oars, his immense strength ready to power the Argo through the strait. As they neared the Symplegades, the Argonauts saw the rocks for the first time. Massive and foreboding, they loomed on either side of the narrow passage, crashing together with a deafening roar and then retreating, only to repeat the cycle again and again. The sheer force and power of the rocks were awe-inspiring and terrifying. Jason took a deep breath and signaled to Zetes and Calais. "Release the dove," he instructed. The winged brothers nodded and gently released the bird, watching anxiously as it flew towards the Symplegades. The dove, a symbol of hope and divine guidance, fluttered through the air, its wings beating frantically as it approached the clashing rocks. The Argonauts held their breath, watching as the rocks began to close in. Just as it seemed the bird would be crushed, it darted through the gap, losing only a few tail feathers to the closing rocks. Jason raised his arm, a signal for the crew to row with all their might. "Now, my friends, row with all your strength. The gods are with us." The Argonauts sprang into action, their muscles straining as they pulled at the oars. The Argo surged forward, propelled by the combined strength of the heroes and the favor of the gods. The sound of the clashing rocks was deafening, but the crew focused only on their task, their determination unwavering. As the Argo neared the narrow gap, the rocks began to close once more. The ship sped towards the opening, the crew's hearts pounding in their chests. Just as the rocks were about to collide, a miraculous thing happened. The goddess Athena appeared, her divine presence calming the raging waters and holding the rocks apart just long enough for the Argo to pass through. With Athena's aid, the Argo shot through the gap, the spray of the sea mingling with the sweat of the crew's exertion. As the ship emerged on the other side, the Symplegades crashed together once more, but the Argonauts were safe. A cheer went up from the crew, their relief and joy palpable. Jason, his heart filled with gratitude, called out to Athena, "Thank you, great goddess, for your aid in our hour of need. We are forever in your debt." Athena, her form shimmering like a star, smiled upon the Argonauts. "You have proven your bravery and strength, Jason. The gods are with you. Continue your quest with courage and faith, and you shall succeed." With those words, Athena vanished, leaving the Argonauts awed and inspired by her divine presence. As the Argo sailed into calmer waters, the crew took a moment to rest and celebrate their victory. Orpheus played a triumphant melody on his lyre, the notes carrying across the water and lifting the spirits of all who heard them. Hercules and the other strong men shared stories of their labors, their laughter ringing out over the waves. Jason, reflecting on the trials they had overcome, gathered his companions around him. "We have faced great challenges and emerged victorious. Let us not forget the lessons we have learned and the bonds we have forged. Our journey is far from over, but with the gods' favor and our united strength, we will reach Colchis and claim the Golden Fleece." The Argonauts raised their goblets in a toast, their camaraderie stronger than ever. They knew that their path would continue to be fraught with dangers, but they were ready to face whatever lay ahead. Their hearts were filled with hope and determination, their eyes set firmly on their ultimate goal. The journey through the Black Sea was treacherous, with unpredictable storms and mysterious creatures lurking beneath the waves. Yet the Argonauts remained steadfast, their spirits buoyed by their recent triumphs and the knowledge that they were nearing their goal. Finally, after many days of arduous sailing, the rugged coastline of Colchis came into view, its jagged cliffs and dense forests shrouded in an air of ancient mystery. Jason stood at the bow of the Argo, his eyes fixed on the distant shore. "We have arrived, my friends," he called out to his crew. "This is called out to his crew. The land of the Golden Fleece. Prepare yourselves, for our greatest challenge lies ahead." The Argonauts gathered their gear and made ready to disembark. As they drew closer, they could see a grand palace perched atop a hill, its walls gleaming in the sunlight. This was the palace of King Pelias, the ruler of Colchis and the guardian of the Golden Fleece. Jason knew that securing the fleece would not be an easy task, and he steeled himself for the encounter with the formidable king. The Argonauts made landfall and began their trek through the dense forests and rolling hills of Colchis. The path to the palace was winding and treacherous, but their determination drove them onward. As they approached the grand gates of the palace, they were met by a contingent of armed guards, their expressions stern and unyielding. One of the guards, a tall and imposing figure, stepped forward. "Who are you?" And what business do you have in the land of Colchis? Jason stepped forward, his bearing regal and confident. I am Jason, son of Azon, and these are the Argonauts. We seek an audience with King Aetes, for we have come to claim the Golden Fleece. The guard's eyes narrowed, but he nodded and motioned for them to follow. Very well. Jason of Colchis. The king will hear your request. The Argonauts were led through the grand halls of the palace, their walls adorned with tapestries depicting the legends and history of Colchis. The air was thick with tension, and the Argonauts could feel the weight of the challenge that lay ahead. Finally, they were brought before the throne room, where King Aetes sat in all his majesty. King Aetes was a formidable figure, his presence commanding and intimidating. His hair was as dark as the night, and his eyes gleamed with a mixture of wisdom and suspicion. He wore robes of deep crimson and gold, symbols of his royal status and power. At his side stood his daughter, Medea, her beauty and grace striking yet tempered by an air of mystery and danger. Aetes regarded the Argonauts with a piercing gaze. Who are you that dare to seek the Golden Fleece? He demanded, his voice resonant and authoritative. Jason, undaunted, stepped forward and bowed respectfully. I am Jason, son of Azon, rightful heir to the throne of Colchis. We have journeyed far and faced many trials to reach your land. We seek the Golden Fleece to restore my father's kingdom and fulfill our destiny. Aetes leaned back in his throne, a contemplative look in his eyes. The Golden Fleece is a sacred relic guarded by the fiercest of creatures and bound by powerful magic. It is not given lightly. Why should I entrust such a treasure to you, a stranger from a distant land? Jason met the king's gaze steadily. We do not seek to take the fleece by force, great king. We offer to prove our worth through trials and tasks of your choosing. Let us demonstrate our courage and honor, and if we succeed, grant us the fleece. Aetes considered this for a moment, then nodded. Very well, Jason of Colchis, you shall have your trials. If you can complete the tasks I set before you, the Golden Fleece shall be yours. But know this, failure means death. Jason bowed again, his resolve unwavering. We accept your challenge, King. We shall face whatever trials you deem fit and prove our worth. Aetes rose from his throne, his presence commanding the attention of all in the room. The first task is to yoke my bronze-footed fire, breathing bulls, and plow the field of Ares. In this field, you must sow the teeth of the dragon, from which a host of armed warriors will spring. Defeat these warriors, and you will have completed the first trial. The Argonauts exchanged uneasy glances, but Jason's resolve did not waver. He knew that this task was formidable, but he also knew that they had the strength and courage to face it. Medea, who had been silently observing the proceedings, stepped forward, her eyes meeting Jason's. There is more to these tasks than mere strength, she said, her voice soft but firm. You will need cunning and strategy to succeed. I offer my aid, for I see in you a noble heart and a just cause." Jason, surprised by her offer, nodded gratefully. "Your assistance is most welcome, Lady Medea. Together, we shall face these trials and prove our worth." Medea, daughter of King Aetes and a powerful sorceress, had grown up in the shadow of her father's reign. Her beauty was as enchanting as her magical abilities were formidable. She possessed a deep knowledge of potions, spells, and enchantments, having been trained by the goddess Hecate herself. Medea's loyalty to her family and her people was unquestionable, and she had always viewed outsiders with suspicion and wariness. When the Argonauts first arrived, Medea watched them with a mixture of curiosity and caution. She had heard of their bravery and their noble quest, but she also knew that their success could spell danger for her father and her homeland. Torn between her duty to her family and her growing intrigue towards Jason, Medea found herself at a crossroads. In the days leading up to the first trial, Medea struggled with her emotions. She admired Jason's courage and leadership, yet she feared the consequences of aiding him. The bond of loyalty to her father weighed heavily on her heart, but there was something about Jason that stirred a deep and unfamiliar feeling within her. One evening, as she stood in her private garden, lost in thought, her brother Absyrtus approached her. "Medea, I see the conflict in your eyes. What troubles you so?" Medea sighed, her gaze distant. These strangers, these Argonauts, there is something about them, about Jason. He is unlike any man I have ever met. His determination and bravery are undeniable, yet aiding him could mean betraying our father. Absyrtus placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You must follow your heart, sister. The gods weave fate in mysterious ways. Perhaps your destiny is intertwined with theirs." Medea nodded, though her mind remained troubled. She knew that the decision she faced was one that could change the course of her life forever. A few nights before the first test, as the moon cast a silver glow over the palace, Medea found herself unable to sleep. She wandered the halls, her thoughts consumed by Jason and the Argonauts. Drawn by an inexplicable force, she made her way to the chambers where the Argonauts were staying. As she approached, she overheard Jason speaking with Orpheus and Hercules. "We face great dangers tomorrow, but we must remain united and strong. The Golden Fleece is within our grasp, and we must not falter." Moved by his words, Medea hesitated for a moment before stepping into the chamber. Jason turned, surprised to see her. "Lady Medea," he said, bowing respectfully, "what brings you here at this late hour?" Medea took a deep breath, her resolve hardening. "I have come to offer my assistance. The trials you face are perilous, and you will need more than just strength and courage to succeed. My magic can help you." Jason's eyes widened in gratitude. "Your help would be invaluable, Lady Medea. But why would you risk so much for us?" Medea's gaze met his, her eyes filled with a mixture of determination and vulnerability. "Because I believe in your cause, Jason, and because I believe in you." From that moment on, Medea's resolve to aid Jason and the Argonauts solidified. She shared with them her knowledge of the trials they would face, providing them with magical potions and enchantments to protect and empower them. Jason, in turn, found himself growing closer to Medea, their bond strengthening with each passing day. The Argonauts spent the next few days preparing for the trials. Medea, true to her word, provided Jason with a powerful potion to protect him from the fiery breath of the bulls. She also shared her knowledge of the dragon's teeth and the warriors that would spring from them. As they worked together, a bond began to form between Jason and Medea. They found in each other a kindred spirit, both driven by a sense of duty and honor. Medea's wisdom and magic complemented Jason's strength and courage, creating a formidable partnership. Hercules and the other Argonauts prepared themselves for the battles ahead, their spirits bolstered by the knowledge that they were not alone in this endeavor. They trained rigorously, honing their skills and building their strength. Orpheus played his lyre, lifting their spirits and filling the air with melodies of hope and valor. The day of the first trial dawned bright and clear, the air filled with a sense of anticipation. The Argonauts gathered at the field of Ares, where the bronze-footed bulls awaited, their nostrils flaring and their eyes glowing with fiery intensity. The ground trembled with their power, and the air was thick with the scent of burning earth. Jason, fortified by Medea's potion, approached the bulls with calm determination. He grasped the yoke and, with a mighty effort, managed to harness the powerful beasts. The bulls roared in fury, but the potion protected Jason from their fiery breath. He guided them across the field, plowing the earth with relentless determination. Once the field was plowed, Jason took the dragon's teeth and sewed them into the furrows. As he did so, the earth began to tremble, and from the ground sprang a host of armed warriors, their eyes filled with battle fury. The Argonauts, ready for the fight, sprang into action. The warriors, born of dragon's teeth, were fierce and relentless. They attacked with a fury that seemed unstoppable, but the Argonauts fought with equal determination. Hercules, with his immense strength, smashed through their ranks, while Atalanta's arrows flew with deadly precision. Castor and Pollux, fighting side by side, displayed their unmatched skill and coordination. Jason, wielding his sword with precision and skill, led the charge, his heart filled with the resolve to succeed. The battle was fierce, but the Argonauts fought as one, their unity and strength prevailing over the ferocity of their foes. One by one, the earth-born warriors fell, their forms dissolving back into the earth from which they came. When the last of the warriors had fallen, a cheer went up from the Argonauts. They had completed the first trial, their courage and strength proven beyond doubt. King Aetes, who had watched the trial with a mixture of skepticism and admiration, stepped forward, his expression one of grudging respect. "You have completed the first trial, Jason of Colchis," he said, his voice resonant. "But there are still more challenges ahead. Prove yourself worthy in the next trials, and the Golden Fleece shall be yours." With the first trial behind them, the Argonauts stood on the precipice of further challenges that would test their courage, unity, and resolve. King Aetes, though grudgingly impressed by their success, was not yet ready to relinquish the Golden Fleece. "We shall face whatever trials you set before us, King Aetes. We will prove our worth and claim the Golden Fleece." Medea, standing beside Jason, looked at him with a mixture of admiration and concern. "Be wary, Jason. My father is a man of many schemes, but know that I am with you, and together we shall overcome." Medea's initial reluctance gave way to a deep and abiding love for Jason. She admired his courage, his leadership, and the unwavering commitment he had to his quest and his companions. In Jason, Medea saw a kindred spirit, someone who shared her sense of duty and honor. Jason and the Argonauts had overcome numerous trials, each one testing their courage, strength, and unity. Yet, as they stood on the brink of their ultimate goal, a sense of unease settled over the group. King Aetes, the ruler of Colchis, had set formidable tasks before Jason, and while they had succeeded in the first trial with the help of Medea's magic, the king's intentions remained shrouded in deceit. The Argonauts could sense that Aetes had no intention of relinquishing the Golden Fleece, no matter how many trials they passed. As night fell, the Argonauts gathered in their camp, the flickering flames of their fire casting long shadows on the ground. Jason, seated apart from the others, stared into the fire, his thoughts heavy with the weight of the decision he knew he had to make. He could feel the eyes of his comrades on him, each of them waiting for his command, trusting him to lead them to victory. Medea, ever attuned to Jason's thoughts, approached him quietly. "Jason," she said softly, her voice a blend of concern and resolve, "you know that my father will never willingly give up the fleece. Even if you pass every trial he sets before you, he will find a way to keep it from you. We cannot trust him." Jason turned to Medea, his expression hardening as the reality of their situation sank in. "You're right, Medea," he replied, his voice firm with conviction. "We have come too far and faced too many dangers to leave empty, and I cannot risk the lives of my men on the whims of a deceitful king. We must take the fleece tonight before Aetes has a chance to act against us." Medea nodded, her eyes glinting with determination. "I will help you. The dragon that guards the fleece is relentless, but I can use my magic to lull it to sleep. We must act swiftly and quietly, under the cover of darkness. Once we have the fleece, we can escape before my father realizes what has happened." As the Argonauts prepared for the heist, the tension in the air was palpable. They knew that this was the moment their entire journey had led to, and the success or failure of their quest hung in the balance. Jason, steeling himself for the task ahead, gathered his comrades and laid out the plan. "We cannot wait for Aetes to spring his trap," Jason declared, his voice low but resolute. "Tonight, we will take the fleece and leave this cursed land behind us. Medea will use her magic to put the dragon to sleep, but we must be quick and silent. Once we have the fleece, we make for the Argo and sail for home." This is our only chance." The Argonauts, their faces grim with determination, nodded in agreement. They had faced countless dangers together, and they were ready to risk everything for the prize they had journeyed so far to obtain. With the plan set, Jason, Medea, and a select group of Argonauts made their way through the darkened forest toward the sacred grove where the Golden Fleece hung. The night was still, the air thick with anticipation. The trees loomed like silent sentinels as they crept closer to their goal, their footsteps muffled by the soft earth beneath them. As they approached the grove, the faint glow of the Golden Fleece became visible through the trees. The fleece draped over a high branch of a sacred oak shimmered with an ethereal light, its golden strands pulsing with ancient power. But the path to the fleece was not unguarded. Coiled around the base of the oak was the fearsome dragon, its scales gleaming in the dim light, its eyes ever watchful for intruders. Medea stepped forward, her heart pounding in her chest. She began to chant softly, invoking the powers of sleep and enchantment. Her voice, melodic and soothing, wove a spell of drowsiness that enveloped the dragon. The creature's eyes, once sharp and alert, began to droop, and its massive head slowly sank to the ground. The dragon let out a low, rumbling sigh as it succumbed to Medea's magic, its body relaxing into a deep slumber. Jason watched in awe as Medea's spell took effect. "It's asleep," she whispered, her voice trembling with the effort of maintaining the enchantment. "But we must be quick. The spell won't last long." Without hesitation, Jason moved toward the tree, his eyes fixed on the Golden Fleece. He scaled the oak with the agility of a seasoned warrior, his heart racing as he drew closer to the prize that had eluded so many before him. The fleece was warm to the touch, its golden fibers soft and supple, yet imbued with a power that seemed to hum beneath his fingers. With a careful hand, Jason unhooked the fleece from its perch and descended the tree, the shimmering prize now securely in his grasp. He glanced back at the slumbering dragon, then at Medea, who nodded at him with a mixture of relief and urgency. "We have it," Jason whispered to the Argonauts, holding up the Golden Fleece for. As the Argonauts made their way back to the Argo, the alarm was raised in the palace. King Pelias, furious and betrayed, ordered his guards to pursue the intruders and retrieve the stolen fleece. The sound of pounding hooves and shouting soldiers filled the night air, growing louder with each passing moment. Medea, her face pale but resolute, knew they needed more than speed to escape. "We must delay them," she said, her voice firm. She turned to her brother Absyrtus, who had followed her, his loyalty unwavering. "Absyrtus, I need your help." Absyrtus nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. Together, they created a powerful spell, erecting a barrier of mist and illusions that would confound and mislead the pursuing soldiers. As the Argonauts reached the shore, they could hear the confusion and frustration of Ide's men behind them. The barrier had bought them precious time, but they knew the king would not give up so easily. Medea turned to Jason, her eyes filled with determination. "Go, Jason. Take the fleece and sail away. I will stay behind and ensure you have the time you need." Jason grasped her hand, his eyes filled with gratitude and love. "No, Medea. We go together. We face whatever comes together." Reluctantly, Medea agreed, and they boarded the Argo, setting sail into the open sea just as the first light of dawn began to break. The Argo sailed through calm waters under a clear sky, but an eerie stillness hung in the air. The sea seemed almost too quiet, the waves lapping gently against the ship's hull. The Argonauts sensed that they were approaching the domain of the sirens, whose seductive songs had lured countless sailors to their doom. Orpheus, the legendary musician and poet, stepped forward, his lyre in hand. "We must be cautious," he warned. "The sirens' songs are powerful and enchanting. If we are to pass safely, we must resist their allure." Jason nodded, his expression serious. "Orpheus, your music has the power to counteract their song. Play with all your skill, and we will trust in your melody to guide us through." The Argonauts readied themselves, knowing that their willpower would be tested like never before. As they neared the Sirens' Island, they could see the rocky shore and the figures of the sirens perched upon the cliffs. The sirens, part bird and part woman, were mesmerizingly beautiful, their voices carrying across the water with an otherworldly charm. As the Argo drew closer, the sirens began to sing. Their voices were hauntingly beautiful, weaving a tapestry of sound that was both alluring and entrancing. The melody spoke of dreams and desires, promising fulfillment and bliss. The Argonauts felt a powerful pull, their senses overwhelmed by the seductive harmonies. Several of the crew members began to falter, their eyes glazing over as they leaned toward the sound. It was as if an invisible force was drawing them toward the rocks where countless ships had met their end. The siren's song was a spellbinding lure, impossible to resist without the aid of counter-magic. Orpheus, sensing the danger, began to play his lyre. He plucked the strings with deft fingers, creating a melody that was as powerful as it was beautiful. His music filled the air, a counterpoint to the siren's song, and the two melodies intertwined in a battle of sound. Orpheus's music was a masterpiece of harmony and rhythm, each note carefully crafted to counter the enchantment of the sirens. His song spoke of courage, unity, and the strength of the human spirit. The Argonauts, their minds cleared by the power of Orpheus's lyre, began to regain their focus. Jason, standing at the helm, felt the seductive pull of the sirens weaken. He shouted commands to the crew, urging them to row with all their might. "Stay strong, my friends. Focus on Orpheus's muses. We can overcome this together." The Argonauts, inspired by Orpheus's song and Jason's leadership, pulled at the oars with renewed vigor. The ship surged forward, cutting through the waves as they steered clear of the deadly rocks. The sirens, realizing that their song was being countered, increased the intensity of their melody, their voices rising in a desperate attempt to reclaim their hold. But Orpheus, undeterred, played with even greater passion. His fingers danced across the strings, creating a melody that soared above the siren's song. The power of his music filled the hearts of the Argonauts with hope and determination, fortifying their will against the seductive lure. As the Argo neared the most treacherous part of the passage, the battle between Orpheus's music and the siren's song reached its climax. The air was thick with tension, the melodies clashing in a fierce struggle for dominance. The sirens, their faces twisted with frustration, sang with all their might, but Orpheus's music remained unyielding. Jason, his gaze fixed on the horizon, felt a surge of pride and gratitude for his companions. He knew that their unity and strength were the keys to their survival. Hold fast, Argonauts. We are almost through. With a final, powerful chord, Orpheus's music overwhelmed the siren's song. The enchantment shattered and the sirens' voices faltered, their power broken. The Argonauts, free from the seductive spell, rowed with all their might, steering the Argo past the rocky cliffs and out of the sirens' reach. As they sailed into calmer waters, a cheer went up from the crew. They had faced the sirens' deadly enchantment and emerged victorious, their spirits buoyed by the power of Orpheus's music and their own unyielding resolve. Orpheus, his face beaming with relief and pride, set down his lyre and embraced his comrades. "We have done it, my friends." Together, Jason, his heart swelling with gratitude, clasped Orpheus's shoulder. "Your music saved us, Orpheus. We owe you our lives." As the Argo cut through the crystalline waters of the Aegean Sea, the sky began to darken with ominous clouds. The wind picked up, whipping the sails and churning the sea into a frothy, turbulent expanse. The Argonauts sensed that another trial awaited them, one that would test their mettle in ways they had not yet imagined. Jason, ever vigilant, gathered his companions. "The gods are not yet done testing us. We must be ready for anything. Stay alert and keep your wits about you." Orpheus, his lyre in hand, played a calming melody to soothe the crew's nerves. Hercules, with his immense strength, took his place at the oars, ready to face whatever challenge lay ahead. Medea, her eyes filled with a mix of determination and concern, stood by Jason's side, her magical powers at the ready. As they sailed through the storm, the Argonauts spotted an island looming on the horizon. The island was shrouded in mist, its rocky shores and dense forests giving it an air of foreboding. As they drew closer, they saw a massive figure moving among the trees. A giant bronze bull, its body gleaming and its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. Jason, his heart pounding, turned to Medea. "What is this creature? How can we defeat it?" Medea's brow furrowed in concentration. The bronze bull is a creature of the gods, forged by Hephaestus himself. It is imbued with immense strength and protected by powerful enchantments. To defeat it, we must use both strength and strategy. The Argonauts landed on the island, their weapons at the ready. The bronze bull, sensing their presence, let out a deafening roar and charged toward them, its hooves thundering against the ground. The sheer force of its approach shook the very earth beneath their feet. Hercules, ever the fearless warrior, was the first to confront the beast. He lunged at the bull, his powerful fists striking its bronze hide with incredible force. Yet the bull's enchanted armor repelled even Hercules' mighty blows, leaving the hero momentarily stunned. "Attack its joints and weak spots," Medea called out, her mind racing to find a solution. "We must find a way to weaken it." Atalanta, with her keen eyes and unparalleled archery skills, fired arrows at the bull's joints, aiming for the small gaps in its armor. Castor and Pollux, working in perfect harmony, flanked the creature, striking at its legs and trying to bring it down. Despite their combined efforts, the bronze bull seemed unstoppable, its strength and resilience unmatched. The Argonauts were beginning to lose hope when Medea, her eyes filled with determination, stepped forward. "I have an idea," she said, her voice firm. "Keep the bull distracted. I need time to cast a spell." Jason and the Argonauts redoubled their efforts, launching a coordinated assault on the bull. Hercules grappled with the creature, using his immense strength to hold it in place, while Atalanta and the others continued to attack its joints and weak spots. Medea, her mind focused and her heart steady, began to chant an incantation. She called upon the powers of Hecate and the ancient magic of the earth, weaving a spell that would penetrate the bull's enchanted armor. As she chanted, the ground beneath the bull began to tremble, and vines sprouted from the earth, wrapping around its legs and hindering its movement. The bull roared in fury, but the vines held fast, giving Medea the time she needed. With a final, powerful incantation, Medea cast a spell that caused the bronze bull's armor to crack and weaken. The creature staggered, its strength fading as the enchantment took hold. "Now, Jason," Medea cried, "strike now while the bull is weakened." Jason, his sword gleaming in the dim light, charged at the bull and delivered a powerful blow to its exposed joint. The bull let out a final anguished roar and collapsed to the ground, its immense body falling with a resounding crash. The Argonauts stood victorious, their breaths coming in heavy gasps as they surveyed the fallen bull. The island, once shrouded in mist and fear, now seemed calm and peaceful. Jason approached Medea, his eyes filled with gratitude. "We could not have done this without you. Medea, your magic saved us." Medea smiled, her eyes reflecting the bond that had grown between them. "We are a team." "Jason, together we can overcome any challenge." With the bronze bull defeated, the Argonauts returned to the Argo, their hearts filled with hope and determination. The journey to Iolcus was still fraught with dangers, but they knew that they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. As they set sail once more, the storm clouds began to dissipate, and the sun broke through, casting a warm golden light over the sea. The Argonauts, united and unyielding, sailed toward their final destiny, ready to claim the glory and honor that awaited them. The Argo glided into the harbor of Iolcus under a clear blue sky, the sun casting a golden glow over the city. The people of Iolcus, having heard tales of the Argonauts' journey, gathered at the docks to witness the return of their heroes. The air was filled with excitement and hope as the citizens eagerly awaited the arrival of Jason and his companions. Jason stood at the bow of the Argo, the golden fleece draped over his shoulder. His heart swelled with pride as he looked upon his homeland. "We have returned, my friends," he called out to his crew. "Today we reclaim what is rightfully ours." The Argonauts, their spirits high, prepared to disembark. Orpheus played a triumphant melody on his lyre, the music filling the air and lifting the hearts of all who heard it. Hercules, Atalanta, Castor, Pellew, and the rest of the crew stood ready, their faces filled with determination. As Jason and the Argonauts stepped onto the docks, the crowd erupted in cheers. They made their way through the throng of people who reached out to touch the golden fleece and offer their blessings. The path to the palace was lined with well-wishers, their faces reflecting the hope and gratitude they felt for their returning heroes. At the entrance to the palace, Jason was met by his mother, Alcimede, her eyes filled with tears of joy. She embraced him tightly, her voice choked with emotion. "My son, you have returned. The gods have blessed us." Jason smiled, his heart filled with love and pride. "Mother, our journey was long and perilous, but we have succeeded. Today we reclaim our honor and our throne." Together they entered the grand hall of the palace, where King Pelias sat on his ill-gotten throne. His eyes widened with shock and fear as he beheld Jason and the Golden Fleece. The sight of the triumphant hero and his legendary companions struck terror into the heart of the usurper. Jason, his voice steady and commanding, addressed Pelias. "King Pelias, I have returned with the Golden Fleece as you demanded. The gods have favored our quest, and now it is time for you to honor your word. Surrender the throne and restore justice to Iolcus." Pelias, his face pale and trembling, knew that his time had come. The people of Iolcus, inspired by Jason's bravery and the Argonauts' heroism, called for justice. Pelias, realizing he had no choice, stepped down from the throne, his reign of tyranny brought to an end. With Pelias deposed, Jason ascended the throne, the rightful king of Iolcus. The grand hall filled with cheers and applause as Jason took his place, the golden fleece draped over his shoulders as a symbol of his victory and legitimacy. The people of Iolcus rejoiced, their hearts filled with hope and pride for their new king. Medea, who had stood by Jason's side throughout their journey, was honored as queen. Her wisdom, bravery, and magic had been instrumental in their success, and the people of Iolcus welcomed her with open arms. The coronation ceremony was a grand celebration, with feasting, music, and dancing. Orpheus played his lyre, filling the hall with melodies of joy and triumph. Hercules, Atalanta, and the other Argonauts were honored for their bravery and loyalty, their names forever etched into the annals of Iolcus's history. As king, Jason set about restoring justice and peace to Iolcus. He enacted reforms to ensure fairness and prosperity for all his people, guided by the wisdom he had gained on his journey. Under his rule, Iolcus flourished, becoming a beacon of hope and justice in the ancient world. Jason and Medea, their love strengthened by their shared trials, ruled together with compassion and wisdom. They ensured that the sacrifices and bravery of the Argonauts were honored and remembered, their legacy a testament to the enduring power of courage and unity. With Iolcus restored to its rightful glory, the time came for the Argonauts to bid farewell. Each hero, having fulfilled their part in the epic quest, prepared to return to their own lands and lives. Jason, with heartfelt gratitude, addressed his companions. "My friends, we have faced unimaginable dangers and triumphed against all odds. Our bond is unbreakable, and our deeds will be remembered for generations. Go forth with pride, knowing that we have achieved greatness together." The Argonauts, their hearts full of pride and camaraderie, departed from Iolcus, each carrying with them the memories and honors of their epic journey. As Jason and Medea ruled Iolcus with wisdom and justice, they ensured that the legacy of the Argonauts would live on. Their epic quest for the Golden Fleece had not only restored honor to their family, but also brought hope and prosperity to their people. In the golden halls of Iolcus, Jason and Medea ruled with wisdom and justice. Their love, forged in the crucible of their adventures, seemed unbreakable. The kingdom prospered under their reign, and the people flourished. Yet, beneath the surface of this idyllic existence, the seeds of discord and tragedy began to take root. Jason, ever ambitious, sought to secure his legacy and the future of Iolcus. He believed that forging alliances with neighboring kingdoms would strengthen his rule and bring lasting peace. His eyes turned toward Corinth, where King Chiron ruled with great power. Jason proposed a marriage alliance with Chion's daughter, Glauce, hoping to solidify his position and ensure the prosperity of his kingdom. Medea, who had sacrificed everything for Jason, felt the first pangs of betrayal. She had forsaken her homeland, her family, and her very identity to be with him. Her love for Jason had driven her to commit acts of great courage and, at times, unspeakable horror. The thought of being cast aside for political gain ignited a storm of emotions within her. When Jason presented his plan to Medea, her heart shattered. "How can you do this to me, Jason?" she cried, her voice trembling with anguish. "After everything we have been through, after all I have done for you, how can you abandon me for another?" Jason, his expression hardening, tried to explain his reasoning. "Medea, this marriage is necessary for the future of Iolcus. It will bring stability and ensure our children's legacy. You must understand, this is for the greater good." But Medea, consumed by a sense of betrayal and rage, could not be swayed. "The greater good? Is that what you call it? You are discarding me like a piece of old clothing, casting me aside for your ambition. I gave up everything for you, Jason. I betrayed my family, my people, and my gods, and this is how you repay me." Jason's patience wore thin. Medea, you are being unreasonable. This is a matter of state, not personal feelings. I thought you would understand. Medea's eyes blazed with fury. Understand? You have no idea what you have unleashed. Jason, you will regret this decision. Driven by a desire for vengeance, Medea's love for Jason transformed into a dark, consuming rage. She turned to her powers of sorcery, the very skills that had once aided their quest. Medea concocted a plan to exact the most painful revenge she could imagine. She crafted a beautiful robe enchanted with dark magic.